First podcast of 2024. I ain't gonna lie, I had no idea what I was getting myself into for this podcast. If I said I was lost for words, I feel like I am lost for words. If I never knew about what it was to have some sort of a why, and you'll find out from the podcast the truth behind the why, this lady is absolutely 100% fucking delivering that. And I'm so fucking inspired by it. It's been amazing. I've also got another little thing that's been ticking away in my life about intention reflections, and I'm definitely gonna. I might not use this book because I'm shit with stuff like this, but I'm definitely gonna keep triggering me to write some stuff down it all the time. But yes, thank you very much, Sam, for joining me. Please watch this podcast. If you're a mum, if you're a dad, if you're a business owner, and please follow this lady on LinkedIn and social media. She's going to post more about what her next journey is, and I'm really looking forward to catch up for in 12 months. Thanks for listening.
About you. Your pieces already. No, I can't do it. I'm rocking.
I've done so many therapy sessions. It's ridiculous. Okay, so it's the first podcast of 2024 Tezlom podcast, and today I'm delighted to meet this lady. I think it's the first time I've met, maybe the second, definitely the first time. But I'm going to let her introduce herself. I believe she's been an angel for 27 years. I'm here to test it. If you could please introduce yourself.
Good morning, Ryan. Yes, I do believe it's the first time we've met face to face.
Yes.
Lots online and social media, which is where we've grown a friendship in actual fact, which is lovely. Yeah. So I'm Sam Acton, and I'm the founder of Domestic Angels. Domestic Angels has been around for 21 years now, but we only franchised it about 7 years ago.
Okay.
6 years ago. Anyway, more recently, it's an evolving entity, and I've travelled at least 262 miles to be here for you today, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
That's how much you're loved. Okay.
I wanted to delve a little bit into the boring stuff of franchising a little bit because I wanted to understand a bit about your business because I just literally don't know. So I wanted to delve a little bit into before we get into you. Just give me an idea, like the size and scale of it's Domestic Angels, isn't it?
Yeah.
Give me an idea.
Well, okay, so
just because if someone's watching this, it's interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting. It's not boring. It's interesting because franchising is extremely interesting. So we're relatively new in terms of our development because, as you know, you start kind of small and then you go into expansion. So we have 6 franchise territories at the moment, which means we provide employment for about 70 ladies right now. So that's the size of it because it's a management franchise. I think it's important to get that kind of numbers going. It's very stable and it's in a big growth spurt right now because the demand for help at home has increased dramatically in the last couple of years. It started to turn. I mean, there's always been a demand, but it started to really turn in 2008. We had a financial crash. And everybody said, oh, that's it. Everybody's broke. Nobody's going to spend a penny. And we had one customer phone up and say, I've completely got this wrong. I'm going to have to cancel. We're out because of money. And then the phone started to ring with the 2 phone calls after that, very similar common denominators. So, look, we've had a chat about life at home and what's happening financially, and we've decided we'd rather not go out for dinner and we'd rather have help at home so that when we get home at the end of the day, we've got the time and energy to do the homework, put the family meal on the table and be with the kids. So priorities started to shift, so the value started to shift at that point in the UK. It's different in Northern Europe, but it started to shift in the UK at that point. Then you got to the pandemic and everybody found out that they had time in their lives, which they completely missed whilst they were on their personal or corporate hamster wheels. And one of the ways that you can buy time is having help at home. So it's an expansive industry right now.
Mad that, isn't it? I never thought of it like that. You'd think you'd be all doom and gloom, but you're right. It's the
No,
same thing,
we are oversubscribed.
Mad that, isn't it? So just talk to me about your territories. How do you work your territories out a little bit?
Yeah, we work it out around the franchisee, because using your own established network is your most powerful tool. And our franchisees are ladies, invariably mums, so they go to the school gates, they've grown up in that area, or they've been at work in that area, so they already have natural networks. So you want to make the most of that. And I'm looking for around about 20 to 25,000 chimney pots per territory. And that's loads, because I know that you can run the formula on 16,000. But I like to overfill my business in a box. You know, franchise a business in a box. I like to overfill that box. So I'd rather give them another 5,000 chimney pots than cut it fine. There's no need to cut it fine.
Yeah, we're exactly the same.
Just make it work. You know, these people are often getting into business for the first time themselves. So they need a bit of extra.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. And also, if they find their feet really quickly, want to grow something a bit more, they can do. They've got the room to take it a bit further. So I think, rough figures, we give 250 clients, and we can run a £3 million business with 50 clients. So we give well over the top for that very reason. You can grow a really substantial business if you want to.
Yeah, you know, your franchisees are your customers.
Yeah.
We want our customers to be happy, don't we?
Yeah.
There you go, customer service. Yeah. And if we're giving good customer service, they'll give good customer service, and so it all goes on.
Okay, so we've got that boring bit out of the way.
It's interesting. It's not boring.
How did you 27 years ago, 21 years ago, you said?
27. Do I look that old?
No, I said.
Do you want to try that again, Ryan?
I thought I'm sure.
No, it's 2002. You're going to get in trouble.
No.
Yeah.
Why did you start it?
Okay. 2001, our son Jack was born in the February, and I went on maternity leave. And it was before the laws changed, so there wasn't much maternity leave. And I left it literally to the last week to go on maternity leave so I could max out after he was with us. Yeah. And then I was getting towards the end of maternity leave, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be awful. I'm meant to be going back full time, because you couldn't go back part time then.
No.
And I did.
Did you not even request for it? No.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, and
I did. And my manager at the time, who was allegedly very Christian, said, no, it's not the right thing. You can't do that. Well, I'll allow you to do it for 1 month. I said, oh, great. By the way, I'm breastfeeding, so I need to be able to express somewhere. Gave me a stationery cupboard.
Wow.
No windows. Honestly, it was awful. Absolutely awful. So I did ask my husband if he would go part-time, and I would go back full-time, because I was the key earner in the household, like by a long shot. And I was based in Southampton and the Isle of Man, just to make it even more interesting. Wow. With the possibility that
What were you doing? What was your job?
Yeah, it's all about business processing and assessment and structuring within financial services.
What is that?
when you have to be compliant, this is a word you know, but compliant in financial services, you need to make all the processes work for that. So that's all of the front end and back end processes, from headquarters through to your agents, through to whoever else. And because the company was across Europe, that would include other countries, but those countries weren't regulated as well, or it was anticipated they would come online for regulation within 5 to 10 years. So you're looking at that too, in how can you make that streamline, or actually even look vaguely like what we had in the UK and work in other countries, so in particular Scandinavian countries and in other languages. And that's where I come in, because I spoke the languages as well.
No way.
And then you're looking at it and go, oh, what's going on here? And it was the same for the Isle of Man. I'm
going to have to go. How did you get into that?
Totally by mistake. I can tell you, do not do something like that intentionally, Ryan. You leave school and
you want to be a policeman.
Go and do different things, and then somebody says to you, if you don't go to university and a degree, you're going to look back and say, I could have done that.
Did you do a degree?
Yeah.
What did you do a degree in?
European social policy with French. So you do it in 2 languages as well. Yeah. International woman of mystery, I am, right? That's why I can find my way all the way up to Southport. When are you going to find your way to Christchurch in Dorset? That's the question,
I'll
isn't
come
it?
to Dorset,
yeah.
isn't it?
On a train.
I'm going to have to go back. I need to scrape a little bit further, so I'm going to go back.
Yep.
Where were you born? Where were you brought up? Where were you born?
Poole in Dorset.
Dorset.
And I grew up just on the outside of the area in the countryside. predominantly. Just it's closer to Poole to start with, but just outside. So never far from Poole. That's where I grew up. It's where the house we lived in for the longest was within a mile of where my dad grew up as well.
No way.
Yeah, and my mum wasn't far away. She was, she grew up in Hanworthy, which is right next to Poole. So we've got a lot of family there. My dad's one of 7, my mum's one of 5.
Wow.
So I've got like 3 million cousins as well. A few of them have escaped the area permanently. Some of us left and came back. And certainly one uncle's done, the ancestry stuff, and it goes back a few hundred years just in that area. It's a very interesting family, actually. Lots of entrepreneurialism on both sides. My dad's side, it tends to be more like smugglers. That's entrepreneurial, isn't it?
Of course it is.
And then, and his grandmother actually owned her own buildings and a post office in the New Forest. What?
No way.
I mean, that would have been back at the turn of the 19th century. That is advanced in terms of feminism and business and stuff. And then on my mum's side, there's a lot more entrepreneurialism, especially in the female side. One grandmother had a set of coffee shops.
No way.
And they were very much suffragettes as well. They fought for the rights of women and men. So, lots of history in that respect. So, yes, I did grow up in that area. My dad is a plumber. He's retired now, finally, about 2 years ago, at 70,000 years old. So he's been self-employed all of his working life.
Yeah.
I don't know any different but to have a self-employed tradesman as a dad.
Yeah.
And my mum qualified as a teacher after my brother was born. My brother's 6 years younger than me.
No.
And went on to become a head teacher.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so she did all of that and retired ages ago, because when you go into education
You retire
or
at 50.
you do.
Yeah.
They all stop. We all keep working.
I know, it's mad.
I know, it's incredible.
I don't understand why though.
Well, because they've got these wonderful final salary pensions, so we have to keep paying our taxes so that they can.
Yeah, but I just feel like I'd just go mentally insane if I had to stop working.
Got to have purpose.
Yeah,
You've got to have purpose. Yeah, and people find out, unfortunately,
It's only so much gardening you can do.
Yeah, and they haven't planned to have a purpose. They go, I just stop.
And things fall to pieces.
But you outlive stopping. The NHS is designed on people stopping work at 60 and dropping dead by 62. Yeah. And of course, people don't do that anymore. But now they're bored and don't have purpose and don't know what to do with themselves. Yeah, that's actually really sad to see when it happens. So having purpose is important.
I find that, so I'm the same. I'm quite lucky where my mum and dad have had businesses my whole life, so it's just I was always going to have my own business.
Well, you see, this is the thing. I didn't know that about myself. So I was a good girl, went to university when I was prompted.
Did you enjoy school, loved all that kind of, were you good at...
I loved the social life of school. Making an effort for academics, no.
You're not.
No, I got through the exams okay. There was a natural I can do this, but no, that side of things boring.
Really?
Yeah. But I managed to get through a degree.
You got a degree, yeah.
Yeah, done that. Stayed in the city and worked for a couple of years, which was interesting.
What did you do for a job when you were at university?
When I was at uni?
Yeah.
To get myself through? Oh, you're going to love this. I worked on the north bank of Highbury Football Ground for Arsenal Football Club.
Did you really?
Yeah. So I held the keys to all the internal doors. So if the loos flooded or something like that, they don't fix them during the game. They just lock the door, or they did back then. So I stood on the little jut-out podium with the policeman during the whole match on the north bank and watch the game, and as soon as it's final whistle, I'd finish work and the police would escort me down to the pitch and I'd walk off behind the players. And I still don't understand football today.
No, I don't watch
That's
football
on me.
at all.
But I earned really well, and that got me through uni.
Yeah. And why did you... I'm trying to figure out how you ended up doing that course at uni. Why did you want to do that type of course?
Because when in that era, you didn't ask the reason why particularly. You just get on with things.
Yeah.
Why is something that's far more recent.
Yeah. Just interesting, isn't it? Just to figure out how people's paths led them to having a business for 21 years. How did you end up, like, I'm just trying to figure it out. But it's,
okay, so you go to uni and then you go out to work, but I got temp positions in the city, which is great because I got to dot round and do lots of different things and see inside some amazing companies, which is just totally fantastic. And then I managed to secure a position down in Bournemouth in financial services, because I was working in the city. It all becomes financial services unless you've qualified as a lawyer or an accountant. And it was well paid, and so I just packed my bags and moved south. This is after I'd lived in France and Norway. It's sort of like there's another story in there. And then I bought a flat pretty much straight away, told the bank that I needed a loan to buy a car and then put it down as a deposit for the flat. It's fine. Could do that back then. And just, stayed in that area, met hubby, and then we bought the house in Southbourne we moved into in 99, and we haven't moved since because I just don't have things like that as a priority.
What is a priority to you?
Being happy, making memories. I love making memories. So if you say, okay, we've got some budget available, do you want to do up the house, or do you want to move house, or do you want to go on holiday? I will go on holiday every single time. When we moved into our house, some of the decor was very questionable and the carpet was definitely disgusting. So my answer to that was rip up the carpet, put it down the dump and book a holiday to Sri Lanka. Because that was important to me. And we didn't have carpet for 11 years.
It's good that though.
But does it change our lives? Does it make it any less happy? Does our son even remember? No.
Every time I spoke to you about it, you've always mentioned your son. Have you got one son or two?
Yeah, Jack.
It's like been a big, like every time we spoke on social media, it's been a big part of it. Is that been the biggest priority of your life, do you think, since you've had him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The day he was born, and I was left at the maternity ward with him. I remember having a chat with him and saying, "It's you and me, mate. Yeah. We're a team now. We're going to do this, and we're going to do the very best." And that's exactly what we've done. Yeah. And we're really close. You're close to your mum.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
It's the best thing.
Yeah, it is.
There's no point in becoming a parent unless you're going to sign up and do it right.
Yeah, I think so. I think.
Or do your best.
Yeah, I think there's always levels of best, isn't there? Depends on who you are.
Well, it's subjective as well, because we all have different
lives,
histories to base our ideas of parenting on, or the way we're going to do things, and we bring our own barriers forward or opportunities for it, stuff like that. And I just wanted to open up the world to Jack, and so that's what he's doing.
Was that the main sort of... so the travelling was taking Jack with you, and you wanted to show him the world? Is that was kind of what you were trying to do, or...?
No. So we'll just go back to that little bit where I decided I went back to work, and it was horrible.
Yes.
And I got to the Christmas, and I was really like, dark space. And actually, I cannot remember that Christmas, and it was Jack's first Christmas, and I can't remember it. I was so down. I was not with it at all.
So you were flourishing your job, and then you got pregnant. Had Jack. Couldn't go back part-time.
Had to go back full-time. September was 9/11.
Yeah.
And I was stood in the BBC TV centre, and I watched the second plane fly into the tower live. And when your child is 40 minutes down the road, you go, there's something wrong here. There's something wrong here. And it sort of went downhill from there. Christmas time, went to the GP, super chap, Simon Pennell, still know him today from the rugby club. And he said, look, I'm going to sign you off sick for 3 weeks. You'll figure it out. I said, what do you mean I'll figure it out? He said, Sam, you've got a brain.
Do you think you had a bit
Go
of
home and think about it. Who knows? Who knows? Because postnatal depression might not just be hormonal. It could be just the circumstance you find yourself in, and you're trapped. Compromised. We use the word compromised.
So my missus, just to give you an idea, she's a hairdresser. She has her own salon. When we have in Jackson, she took another girl on to cover maternity leave. She got pregnant, and then actually came off her maternity leave before Charlene had Jackson, and Charlene, I think it was 11 days. Jackson was old, and we had to put him into nursery because she just couldn't. And she was the same, the most darkest place, and she couldn't even drop him off because I had to keep taking him because she just couldn't handle taking him. But we had no other option. I can completely understand.
You've got to find your way through.
Yeah.
So I had me think for 3 weeks and then figured out, actually, this has to change completely and dramatically. And I went back to work on a mission to make myself redundant, because that was something I could do by restructuring teams.
Yeah.
And by the end of March, I'd restructured myself out with a redundancy payoff. Picked up a copy of the Titanic on the way home because I hadn't watched it, and a big bar of chocolate. Husband came in through the front door at 6 o'clock with Jack after picking him up from nursery and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, I've got something to tell you. Because I was in such a dark place. I hadn't told him. Hadn't told him. Now, you could say I was in such a dark place, but also I was just on a mission. I was going to do it. And this is where entrepreneurialism comes in. Yeah. When you understand as an entrepreneur, that is how you behave and it's okay, you start to understand yourself. Yeah. We don't tell people. We're just, I'm going.
I'm going to go and do it.
Have you not noticed you coming with me?
Yeah, I do that. I'm terrible for not communicating a little bit, but yeah, you've got to do it.
It's just part of our makeup. It's who we are, and it's absolutely fine. And everybody catches up with us eventually. It's okay. It's okay. And I had no idea what I was going to do. And friends rallied around and said, "What are you doing?
What did your husband do?"
He just went, I
told him.
What was he
doing for a job?
Oh, he's foreman at a Ford main dealership.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
So he's a general manager of a car dealership, is he?
The workshop.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and the customer service stuff, yeah. And I told him, and he went, "Oh, all right then." And he never said another word. He was brilliant. He never said another word. He just let me find my way. And it was my girlfriend. She said, "You're going out for a walk. Come on, we're going to talk about it." What the fuck do you think you've done? It was something one of them said to me, and another lady who's really successful with her own business by then said, "Come on, you're coming round, wine, let's talk." And by the end of the first bottle of wine, she said, "Look, you've got time on your hands. I'm up to my ears. This house, 3 kids, the business, can you find me a cleaner?" I said, "Yeah, that sounds fun. Let's do that. I wonder if I should do that for a business, because if you're looking for one, somebody else must be." And she said, yeah, by the end of the second bottle of wine, we came up with the name Domestic Angels. And it was simple as that.
No way. I love that. That's
and
so
then
nice.
On the 11th of April, 2002, at 11:10, my phone rang, and it was Tina, and she was my first cleaner. I only say that she was an angel. And she stayed with me for about 8 years.
No way. That's so good, that, isn't it? What a story. I love that.
And that's where that's went, and it gave me the freedom to be the mum
that you wanted to be.
I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But what I then found out is it gave me the freedom to actually become me.
Yeah.
Because I'd been fitting in with big corporate before. Yeah. This is what you have to do. Tick the boxes, have a performance review, tick, 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 tick. And you're constantly changing and compromising yourself, but you don't realise it because you don't know any different. And then I found out, actually, I'm entrepreneurial, and I had no idea. But of course it was obvious. That's why I never properly fitted in corporate. Yeah. Then you find out. So all those times you're told in your performance review, so, well, no, you didn't really make it up a next level and you can't have a pay rise this time round, maybe in a year. You go, okay, not good enough. Now I know why, because I shouldn't have been there.
You just didn't fit in, did you?
No, I wasn't employable, and I'm definitely not anymore.
Yeah, no, I know the feeling. But I also think that's it's not. I always trouble myself when I say like it in a boastful way, because I feel like it's such a skill to be a good team member as well, having a good career. I think like people who are good at that, I think it's also amazing to be able to do that and have a career and grow.
Ryan, you can do that in companies that allow you to be yourself. Yeah. With these big corporates, definitely when I was working with them, they wanted you to fit in a particular size hole. Yeah. Not be you, not bring your self-expression. You conform, and tick their boxes. They're not looking at what your super strengths and super skills are. You and I, because the nature of the size of our businesses, we're going to be looking to, I bet this would really get Ryan going. He'd be great at that.
That's what I do.
Yeah. They don't.
Yeah, I hate that. I'm not. See, I sold cars from a young age, and then in car sales, you just sold cars. You didn't really have any other skills to do. I was amazing at it. And then I went into management, and then I changed. When I went into management, I started learning about teams and figuring out what makes people tick. And I went through quite a lot of learning with older people older than me, trying to manage their time and understand it, and then I went straight into business for myself then.
Do you know, I think probably what sums up the situation is there's an advert that's on at the moment. I think it's nationwide. And they say they're keeping their branches open on the high street.
Yes.
Because they want their customers to be happy, not their shareholders.
Yeah.
Now, that is a really neat package way of summing up what actually happens when you work in big corporate. They want you to behave in a way and perform in a way that ultimately makes the shareholders happy, not the customers.
It's that micromanagement piece again in a massive scale. Is I always see, well, I saw it in car sales and I've seen it in recruitment, because obviously I've tried to recruit people who have been branch managers or supposedly branch managers, and all they do is basically still look after their commission by micromanaging that person underneath them. So that person underneath them literally fears for their life every single day of their life, because they've got to make 60 calls a day. They've got to have done this over this certain amount of time. They've got to hit this. And all they basically are is a puppet for that manager.
Yeah.
And so they have no personality. No one ever says to them, what do you think you could do? What could we do to make this better? And no one ever does. And I've been in them scenarios and I've interviewed people, and I think to myself, there's someone I interviewed recently, and he is successful, to be honest with you, in his own right. And he's great. But he could never work in Tezlom or any of our Tezlom branches because of the way he's been just brought up into the sector and how he conducts himself. Yeah. It's literally about profit margin, numbers, conversion rate, all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, he's successful, but I bet the people who work for you don't enjoy the job.
Yeah.
I bet he fundamentally doesn't enjoy his life most of the time. It's just robot.
Yeah, robots. So they're not being human anymore. And you're in the business of humans as we are.
Yeah, so I can't. Interesting. I was trying to figure it out why you did it. That's why I was just trying to figure out how you got into that.
Well, I'm glad to have been assistants today. And it was worth the journey. I'm just always. Do
you know when you meet somebody?
So what shall we do for your therapy session next?
You
then,
can
Ryan?
talk to me. You can ask me any question you want. But it's just always interesting, because I feel like the reason why I started the podcast, and I always say this, is I feel like if you were ever going to franchise your business or have your own business, and you were searching online for tips, or you were wanting to watch podcasts about stuff, I always think like sometimes you need a bit of inspiration to think, I can do that, they did that. And I mean, maybe I feel like people don't need to have got a degree or have a coach, they just need to be in the right situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, the degree stood me in good stead because it gives me the ability to concentrate longer than most other people. 100%. Yeah, when I absolutely have to, I can drive through stuff. Yeah, and that's the skill set you predominantly come out with, and then there's the knowledge set as well.
Or whatever you're studying, basically.
Studying. And Domestic Angels became a franchise because my mentor at the time, Martin Spooner, super chap, go sailing with him still. Hello, Martin. He looked at the business because it was quite sizable. Right, there's me at the top, and then there's all this going on, some supervisors here. He said, this can carry on, just like this. It's absolutely fine. But look at the disconnection that's going to come between you and your customers. You're going to lose your culture. Yeah. I said, right, what do we do about it? He said, multiply it. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, franchise. I said, sure, that's the F word. Don't even come anywhere near me with that. Yeah. And we talked about why. I'd been to a franchise exhibition in 2005 and thought it was the most vile experience ever.
Why?
Oh, it's just like an exhibition room full of sharks going, oh, let me talk to you, let me talk to you. And they want to sell. They're not saying, tell me about you. They weren't interested in the human. Yeah. And I was like, oh, God, no, can't do it, peritonticity. So it took him 6 months to persuade me to actually take the idea of franchising seriously. And then, as if by magic, because I opened to the universe for things to happen, Bournemouth University MBA lead gave me a call and said, would you become our live client for this cohort? I said, sure, no problem. I've got a challenge for you. This is what we're looking at doing. So I had the whole of the MBA cohort look at Domestic Angels, the franchise industry, and the domestic cleaning industry, and knit the whole thing together and scope everything.
No way.
It was fantastic.
That's amazing.
And because I had some idea of what it's like to be at university, even though I haven't done a master's degree, I understood what they were trying to deliver, what it went for the way they were being assessed and tested, because they had to hit a certain level. And I understood the methodology they were using and how expansive and how deep the research was. So none of that was beyond me. It didn't scare me. And I was able to then take all of their finished work, research and conclusions and recommendations and all the risk registers and convert it into a reality. So actually take Domestic Angels from being the singular business into a franchise model setup. Now, the wonderful thing about doing this is they had no preconceived idea about how to do that. They did it as business people, yeah? This is what you got, blank sheet of paper. So they weren't a franchise consultant who goes, yeah, I've converted loads of businesses. They do a certain formula. They did it with absolute open eyes. It was incredible. And the wonderful thing there, the lovely chemistry, is I'm still able to report to them today about how we still do things their way and not in the industry standard or perceived standard way. And it was just the most fantastic fun. So the university education, whilst I look back and think, well, I didn't use that, I am using it. It's just not in the way that perhaps it was originally intended.
I wonder if you're the only franchise in the UK that's been built like that. I bet you are.
Quite possibly.
I bet
Quite
you
possibly.
Are. Yeah, based on research by university. It'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, and so they researched and saw how domestic cleaning industry would expand, and they predicted when it would increase, and they weren't far off, but they didn't know we were going to have a pandemic.
Yeah.
So it was all that kind of thing. Wow. Just incredible. Yeah. And of course they looked at the competitors and were able to say why we would succeed past the competitors eventually. It's just, so you just got to stick at it. It's a long-term thing as well.
Yeah. I've been part of a research thing. I'm on the board of a children's charity. I've been on it for 12 years. And we've got one of the trustees, a tutor from Salford University, and he's doing research on the charity now. I've never been part of anything like that, and I've never been to university. I hated school. And it's fascinating. Yeah. Absolutely fascinating to see, I think, what's called hopes and dreams and goals and ambitions of teachers and students and people. And basically someone go, that's it on a piece of paper. Yeah. This is what it looks like. This is how it started. This is the facts. This is how it's going to work out. This is why you're better than everyone else. These are the scalable. It's amazing to see. Interesting.
Yeah. Working with the education sector can be limiting but expansive. And I think if you are expansive as a character, you will attract the right people from the education sector to work with you and collaborate. They want you as much as you want them.
Yeah. It's cool, that, isn't it?
It is. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. So one of the big things that came out of the recommendations and all the risk registers was about money. Because we are a female-dominant industry and they be female-dominant franchisees, what would they be afraid? Why would they not come into business? Why would they avoid it? And it's to do with money and accountancy, because girls predominantly come through school or were coming through school being told they're not good enough within maths lessons because they learn differently to boys, and education predominantly teaches in a masculine way. And so they instantly have a fear. Housekeeping? Fine. Anything outside of that, if it's business, oh no, that can't be good. So we centralised everything, so that we built our own software, Halo, which are designed by using a step and task process that I stole from Ernst & Young, something like that. Somewhere along the line in financial services, something I saw when I was working in financial services, like I know how to do that. And it's a smart diary. So they follow the recruitment process to onboard an angel, and they follow the customer onboarding process to onboard a customer, and then they put a date in the diary. So it'll be Ryan on Monday at 10 o'clock with Angel Josephine with this type of clean. And Halo says, thank you very much, and tells Zero Accountancy, amazing, this is what it is. And Zero sends back an invoice number. But they don't ever have to look at Zero because we do it all centrally for them. So we push out all the invoices, we do all the reconciliation, we do all their age receivable reports, we do all their wages, all of those kinds of things we are able to do without compromising the franchise relationship. And they don't have to worry about it because it is a barrier to entry for females into business.
Yeah, I love that.
And I wouldn't have known that unless the MBA cohort had got involved. So that's what we do. But it does mean we sit outside most of the franchise industry because people don't see it that way.
Yeah.
But we know it's the way forward and we believe in it, and so do our franchisees.
That's it. It doesn't matter about anyone else. If it works for you, then that's fine, isn't it?
It's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just scrape back a little bit to the reason why you started it was because of your son Jack.
Yeah.
And then, and you said you wanted to be yourself and look after these things. Obviously, 21 years of being in business, have you always been able to have that freedom? Have you come across challenges before? Have you just kept
no, there was 1 or 2 moments where I'd clearly made shit decisions at some point and I had to suddenly work 24 hours a day to put things right. But they've been maybe once or twice that's happened.
Amazing.
But otherwise, no, I've kept my freedom the whole way along.
Have you got a good team around you?
Absolutely. But also, this is another reason why the Domestic Angels is so old, and we've taken, it's taken a while to do this evolution because I was not prepared to compromise priority of being mum.
I love that.
It's not getting in the way. And I expect the same for and from my franchisees and for the Angels and from the Angels and the customers, because invariably they're mums as well. Yeah. We're all in it for the same reason.
So it was driven from that decision. Yeah.
Mm.
Cool, isn't it?
Still the same. Doesn't change. I take every July off to go sailing.
So just talk to me a bit about that. Why July? Why the whole month, and why sailing?
July because it's before the school summer holidays, and we used to go pretty early as a family holiday anyway before the main school summer holidays. And now Jack's doing his own thing. We just take July, and then my husband just feels passionately that his team, who have got young kids, need to have the time off during the school holidays more than he does. So he wants to be back in the workplace so that they can take time off. He sees that as being fair. Yeah. We take as long as we do because we can. Yeah. And also, when you're sailing, it takes quite a long time to get somewhere. Yeah. So once you get there, you want to enjoy it, and then you've got all the way to come back. So you don't want to spend a week getting somewhere just to turn around and come back. You want to spend 5 to 6 days getting somewhere, and then mess around for a couple of weeks, and then come back. Sail back. Yeah, to take your time, because we've earned it. We deserve it. I get a really good break. I've always switched everything off and left everything at home when we've gone on holiday anyway. Yeah, now I just do it for even longer.
Is that a conscious? Because I don't, and I always feel fearful of ever talking about it on social media.
Yeah, okay.
And I always feel fearful sometimes of sharing it, but I truly believe this, and I don't want to push my opinion on other people, because I think it's, when you say these things, sometimes people think it comes from an ego point of view where I think I'm better than everyone because I'm saying this, but I genuinely, honestly mean this, is that I struggle to relax if I can't do a little bit of work. Okay. So
we just returned to Ryan's therapy session.
Yeah, it's fine. I just want to talk. Just
okay,
kind of
let me tell you what happened for me. So I suppose the first time I did it, Jack must have been 6 years old. No, before that. Anyway, he was young. I would switch everything off, leave at home, and there'd be somebody just to oversee day-to-day business. And whatever happened. Yeah. What you find out when you come back is what you need to develop or fix ready for the next year when you go on holiday. And then it gets tested, and then you find out what the next level of stuff is that needs to be done to make it stronger for the next time, the next time, the next time, the next time. There's a degree of trust in the people you leave looking after your business, which is your baby, which is where this comes. So when you put your baby into nursery, you're how old's your son now, Jackson?
8 and 5.
Okay, so you've been through the nursery where you've got cams and everything, so you can't get away from it. Okay, and I think that's unfortunate because you need to learn detachment. And what you're doing is you're letting the business find its own feet, like you should let a child find its own feet. And then what I'd do was when we were going on holiday, I'd read a book. I'd get a fiction book, definitely a couple of fiction books, and start reading immediately so I could lose my head, because your biggest problem is the strongest muscle in your body, which is your head being noisy. Now, if it's drowned in that book, if you get through 2 or 3 books, you'll start falling asleep. Then you're into recharging and healing and finding your energy. And then I would use this book called Best Year Yet by Ginny Ditzler. Okay. And on the way back, so when we were flying back or driving back, whatever, I'd get my Best Year Yet book out and start working through it. So it tells you a story and guides you through how to make your decisions, reflect, intend. By the time we got home, not only did I have a relaxed and clear mind, re-energized, I know exactly what we were going to do next. And then I just layer on the things that have been revealed in the previous 2 weeks while I was away. But do you know what? Your business is still there when you get back. Yeah. And actually, the people are bigger and stronger because they want to step up. I know what you mean. You just want to be there and be on hand. But actually, you're holding other people back at the same time. Do you really have the right to do that?
No, I don't know. It's probably something I should consider next time.
It's to do with the block that's in yourself as well.
Yeah, I feel I don't want to defend myself. I just want to. Maybe I should just try it. I would try it. It's not
about defending yourself, Ryan. What it is there'll be a block within you that says, unless I work hard, unless I hold on to this, I'm never going to do well.
No, okay, I can see why you say that, but from my perspective, it's more that I'm just in. So there's probably a little bit. There's a couple of things. You are right, so I'm not saying you're wrong. You are right on that perspective. There's a couple of little things that I've got, unfortunately, is I feel like there's an attachment to people I've lost in my life to it.
Yes, definitely.
And then also, I just don't really have anything else in my life apart from my kids and apart from my business. So I really enjoy the work. It gives me so much purpose and gives me so much drive. I'm not saying that yours does, but it definitely does with me. I kind of find it hard to completely switch off. And I've tried before. I just feel like I just need to ask a couple of questions, know what's happened. Being able to do that might take an hour, half an hour, might take 10 minutes. And then I can put it away, and then I spend the rest of the day just relaxing, doing what I want, switching off, reading books. I read 2 books while I was away, watch podcasts, go running every day, did a bit of cold water in the sea and stuff. Just for me, I just feel like I have to. But I don't know if I don't trust the team. I definitely feel like I trust the team. The core business runs itself when we're here, and the franchisees get looked after. Like at the minute, I don't get in touch with the franchisees nowhere near I used to do like 3 years ago. So maybe I do just need to try it one time and just try it. And just see if I can completely switch off.
I very much recommend that you do. I think it's going to do you the power of good to do it, and it will be a challenge because of what you've just described. But when you're doing it, you need to observe yourself. Just observe yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Observe yourself and see what those feelings are. And if necessary, journal. Write down how those feelings are and take yourself through it. It really will be a therapy process for you, Ryan, because of the situation, your attachments that you were describing. But it's really important that we do switch off and be 100% present for those people that we're on holiday with and we're spending time with. Seriously important. As soon as you even do 10 minutes on the phone, you're not 100% present.
Yeah. You're right, I know a lot about that. It's an interesting one about the present thing. I talked to Ruth Brown about this quite a bit, and trying to be present for the kids all the time when you run a business can be difficult.
It's really difficult, but I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't even call it difficult. You're at work when you're at work, and when you're at home, but you might work at the same time. But that's all right. Do you know what? Daddy's entrepreneurial. Daddy runs a business. All they're doing is learning how to be entrepreneurs themselves.
Yeah. So I talked the same thing with Dan Archer. We said the same thing. It's inspiring to be an inspiring dad, and I think there's a different element to it. I let myself off the hook by saying that because all I ever remember is my mum and dad working. See, I remember being like 10, 11, 12 and up to my teens working in mum and dad's businesses. Mum and dad had a really big, it was like a healthy food franchise. A long time ago, they were the franchisors. Yeah. And I remember just walking around the warehouse and, them trucks that you do the pallet trucks and you put your hands on them and use them like a skateboard. Yeah. And then we used to fly around the warehouse on that. So in the summer holidays.
And your parents probably did an awful lot of really long hours. My dad always did, and that's something that I didn't want us to do with Jack, because I know that he would come in, he'd go out the door by 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, and he wouldn't come in till 6 o'clock in the evening, and then he'd be absolutely shattered. Then you haven't got that energy in the time. So I knew from that's not what I want, and that's not what we're having. So that got removed, and that's something you might want to reflect on as a point, because your kids are now coming to an age where they really will remember. And going to the rugby pitch, doing the school runs, massively important. Massively important.
I've always done the nursery runs, and I don't do the school runs now because it just makes more sense. Charlene, I've always done the nursery runs, but Charlene doesn't start work till 10. And then she finishes a little bit early as well, so because she's just a hairdresser and she does that part of it. But if and when I need to, I will always do it. But at the minute, we're just it's tough one, isn't it? I can get what you're saying. It's just I'm going for this stage of scaling Tezlom at the minute. I think there'll be like a chunk of years now where I'm doing what I'm doing, but every single weekend, I make sure I go for a walk with them. I do spend that quality time with them. I try my hardest to anyway.
Did you say they're 8 and 5?
Yeah.
So very soon your 8-year-old's going to start wanting to play sports or do something.
Yeah, we do now.
What are you doing?
Football.
And is that Saturday mornings?
Yeah, well, evenings, football, mornings. Yeah. I kind of already do. So every single weekend we go for a walk in the woods and the beach without fail.
Yeah.
Every single weekend.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I know.
Because then you get the Wednesday afternoon sport as well.
Yeah, no.
So that's you need. It's going to come soon that actually you're going to need to stop work by about 1 o'clock on a Wednesday because you're going to go and watch that match.
Yeah.
And that's something to be mindful of. Now that's no bad thing when you're expanding because that keeps your feet on the ground.
Yeah, no, it does. It's nice. That is like an ultimate switch as well sometimes. Because I do find myself going, right, I'm going to put that fucking phone away and I want to crack on.
And you must.
Yeah, it's not a phone, it's a computer. But I put that away because you have to. It's something Ruth talked about. It's like blowing the key. So you blow your front door key, and as you put your key in the car, you kind of put my seat, director's hat back here and turn into dad and try not to bring it over. But it's basically impossible. But if you can just be aware and try and reduce it as much as possible, that's what I found.
It's not impossible if you allow it.
Yeah.
This is all within you, Ryan. Yeah. It really, really is.
But I don't know if I actually want to at the same time. That's the other thing.
Right, okay. That's the bigger question then, isn't it?
So I don't know.
You see, it was deeply important for me. And
why do you think it was deeply important? Can you think why?
I just think of it as accumulation of life experience and your own personal experience and what you've observed in other families. I was really fortunate after A-levels to go and live in Norway as an au pair. And what?
When?
87. I went at the end of 86 for a year. And I still go back.
I wonder when Mum went to Norway. My mum went to Norway as well.
Big place.
Yeah, she was a lot younger though. I wonder if it was about the same. It was a lot younger because my mum was at uni. So
whereabouts in Norway did she go?
She's gonna batter me
you
now.
Don't know, do you?
I forgot.
What sort of son are you?
She's told me that story 1,000 times as well. But I found out the other day she went skiing in a bikini, so she must have had a good time. Yeah, that's another story for another day. But yeah, she went working in a hotel over in Norway.
Oh right, okay. Well, you'll have to find out where.
Yeah, we'll all find out. I'll text you.
And they had 3 kids, all under 5. And the 4th one came the year after, Nikolai. And when you live on an island in a fjord and there's no bridges, you've got a ferry. And we were linked to the island next to us and one more. And on there was a shop that opened between, I think it was 6 and 7 o'clock in the evening. It was a cabin that sold chocolates and cigarettes. That's it. You are cut off. You spend a lot of time with that family. And the mum, Sinana, is still my very best friend today.
Wow.
And she had very clear principles and attitudes to family and how things were going to be. Her husband, the father, Christopher, an amazing man. And I was so heavily influenced by them as a family and the culture around. And so you just start to bring all of those things together, and it's a bit of a mix and match. And like yourself, my brother had a very long phase of addiction.
Did he?
Yeah, a very long phase. And you think, okay, so he was much more vulnerable than me as a human being. And even my mum would say, perhaps you shouldn't have gone out to work. But it was a necessity. They knew what they wanted to achieve financially. Whereas I just sort of like dolly daydream, just get on with things. It's absolutely fine. So for whatever reason, he got muddled up with stuff. And I was damned if that was happening to my child. And I stayed on it. Absolutely on it all the way through. But it also meant I was able to listen a lot more than most parents do. So when he came in from school, I'd have the hot chocolate and the sandwich ready because they don't want to speak to you at all. You can't say what happened at school because they go, don't know. But if you give them hot chocolate and a sandwich and you just stay quiet, just peel potatoes ready for dinner, they start talking.
Yeah, okay.
And to be able to listen and guide, and being a parent is a mentor with love.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And just coaxing and supporting for the rugby, fixing those knees, mopping the tears, and taking him through all of the things that sport gave him to make him the human he is today. Winning, losing, mediocre, being selected, not being selected, all of those things that grow us into whole 360 human beings. So he wasn't hidden away from that, and it wasn't just skimmed over, right, stand on your own 2 feet. I was there for him 100%. And that's why he is an amazing human being.
How old is he now?
He's 23.
No.
Is he 23? Where are we? Yeah, he's 23. Right, so I have to think about that. No, he's 23, so he graduated a year ago in June. So he's been out, 18 months. And like so many graduates these days, he's self-employed. That's what they do. So it's quite good if your kids know what self-employment's about.
What's he doing?
Oh, he's an offshore sailor. He races boats.
Amazing.
Oh, he races inshore as well. He's racing J70s this week in Sydney. So he's just done the New South Wales Championships, and he's doing the Nationals as of tomorrow, Thursday, something like that.
Amazing.
Get a bit confused with the time zones.
It's a different world to me, all that sort of stuff. I just no idea anything about sailing or boats or anything.
Didn't even know it was a thing, but it is.
The only boats I go on is one in Tenerife looking at dolphins, that's it. I don't really do anything else.
No, sails, starts on dinghies, and then, he got too big. He was quite a big lad and needed a jack-sized boat, so he goes on big boats these days. And he loves it.
Just talk to me about, I do these things, I just jump around, so I'm sorry, but just one thing I wanted to remember. Why did you go to Norway? What happened? Why did you just want to go a bit of travelling? Or?
Well, this refers back to my attitude towards education. I could do it, but no, it didn't spark me. I wasn't brilliant at it. I just got through. And so when I finished sixth form, I didn't know
what you wanted to do.
What I wanted to do at all. And it was never actually really a big discussion in our house.
That was it.
That was it. You just fall off the edge of a cliff. And I bought a copy of the Lady magazine because we had those back in those days. And I looked in the ads, and there was one for Seoul in Korea. I thought, well, I don't know where that is because it was before the Olympics. And one for Stavanger. And I thought, well, I don't know where that is. So I phoned those two. I didn't phone the others because I knew where those places were. And you didn't have social media or emails back then, so it was literally based on a phone call. And when I phoned up and spoke to C. Nana, both of us couldn't stop laughing. We giggled our way through the phone call, and that's how we made the decision. And so I flew out to Norway with my bag on a one-way ticket. No idea where I was going. Meant to be meeting C. Nana, this famous story. I think everybody in Norway knows it. And she said she'd be wearing a long red leather coat and meeting me at the airport. The airport being Stavanger Swola Airport, which was a hut back then. And which is a bit of a shock when you've flown from Heathrow. It's like, oh, right, okay, what have I done? She wasn't there, but Dad, Christopher, was there with a copy of the Financial Times, and he'd written my name across the top. So I was like, yes, hello? And he went, Samantha, nice to meet you. And he said, come on, we're getting a taxi. So I went off with this strange bloke who happened to have my name on a copy of the Financial Times in a taxi down to the ferry quay in Stavanger. And I had no idea we were going to be living on an island, or they lived on an island. It didn't even occur to me, because that's how much I knew about Norway. All I knew about Norway was the name Slarty Bartfast from reading the books. So it was just like, what's that? And then we waited to get on a ferry. So then we got on this car ferry, and he's trying to say, look, isn't this beautiful? Look at that, isn't it wonderful? And I'm thinking, where the fuck am I going? With my suitcase, thinking, oh my God. And we arrived at this island, and then you have to walk up the gravel path because nothing's time out. No, none of that. I've come from civilization and I've gone to non-civilization out there. And we got to this wonderful house. I thought it was wonderful. They didn't. Which was very badly decorated with 1960s wallpaper and carpet, because they weren't in a position to do anything about it at that point in time, but it didn't matter because they had all small kids and kids throw up and poo everywhere. So just let them wreck it and sort it out another day. Well, you see, that's the kind of thing I learned. And Sienna had made these lovely cakes and biscuits and set up an area, and I was welcomed with a beer, and the kids were climbing over me. They were so excited to meet me, and I was so warmly welcomed. Oh, it was just amazing. And I still know them all today very, very well. And the eldest, Anne-Sophie, lives in London with her husband and her 3 kids. And I'm so pleased they're on this island because I can see them quite often. And we have the 2 eldest boys come sailing with us on the boat.
No way, that's so nice.
And I go visiting. I'm a grand au pair. You see, I'm a rare breed. I'm a grand au pair. And also to the other 3 grandchildren in Norway, who I last saw in November. I went over and saw them, and they're just great. I speak to them on video phone, and yeah, it's lovely. So I have that whole other family. They're mine. And they're Phil, my husband's Phil and Jack's. Jack doesn't know life without them.
That's amazing.
They're a massive part of his life.
Yeah, I can see why visiting, I can see why the domestic angels, and I can see why it's all I can see like why it's a massive part of life. It's completely right as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, family, important people. Got to have that time. Got to have those principles, but also have that freedom and space to grow yourself and consider how you want to do life and how you want to do business, and consequently. Domestic Angels is unique, it is different, and it challenges and it disrupts, and I like it that way.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
keep doing that, and it gives me purpose. But that doesn't just give me purpose, there's other opportunities that come out of it that give me purpose.
Have you got a small team that work at head office? How does that set up? I just always intrigued to find out how people learn about team building and leadership and that side of things. Is like, because I've got a team of, I think there's 15 or 16 of us now, and I'll be honest with you, the hardest part of my job has always been the team. The clients are amazing, the agency workers are amazing, all that side of it I'm really good at. The bit that I struggle with is learning how to be a good leader and my emotions, and I'm just trying to figure that bit out. Have you figured that bit out yet? Or?
I think we should always all be figuring it out all of the time. Yeah. We should always be, it's about evolving ourselves. Yeah. You find your leadership. You find yourself. In fact, you don't even find that word leadership. You just find being yourself. Yeah. And then people want to work with you, and they want to work with you in the capacity of being themselves. Yeah. That is hugely important to me. Yeah, that too. They just express themselves. Just empower them. Have you ever read Reinventing Organisations by Lalo? No, you don't read, do you?
Yeah, no. You do. Well, it was a new thing. It's 2 years old. I've only started reading, and I've read about.
Well, it is a business book, so
probably on to it. Yeah.
And it talks about the different evolutionary stages of business, and it gives them different colours like orange and red. Red was when I was in corporate. It's disgusting. It was very and we've been slowly working towards this thing that's called teal, and it's really about full engagement, and that is the leadership style, the company cultural style that I particularly identify with, and I would say that has its origins in my experience of being in Scandinavia. It's come through like that. But yeah, you find the right. Well, I don't go deliberately looking for the right people. You start talking to people. If you know yourself well, you trust your gut instinct. You found them.
Yeah, that's what
You have to let it happen, though.
Yeah. I've definitely gone through a journey of learning about how to make that happen and employ the right people and not how to treat people. And yeah, I'm still going through a journey with it. It's an unusual one for me, but I constantly criticising or just being aware of myself.
It's so much more about us as individuals than it is about anybody else around us, because then you'll attract the right people at the right time, or you'll see how they can do a fantastic job.
Yeah, exactly. Like you almost see into their soul, don't you? And like you go, right, this person is going to be amazing. They're going to love it. They bring this in, and then they start showing encouragement in something. I'm like, you just do that. Yeah. Here's
a great example. So I'm very instinctive, and I trust myself. Yeah. And I trust myself even more as the years go by. Yeah. So I'm an old git compared to you, and I get to do that. And just over a couple of years ago, a lovely lady came up to me and said, I need to work for you. And I said, do you? She said, yeah, I need to be an angel. And I kind of knew her, but not especially well. And it was just one of those instant reactions. I said, you're going to do far more than that for me. And she went, am I? I said, yeah. She now manages a franchise.
No way.
And she has absolutely nailed it. And she's now making it a flagship. Because you just like, okay, good. And it just literally came from in here. I didn't have to go away and think about it. It just knew it.
Yeah.
And that is the greatest place to be as a leader, when you just know it.
Yeah.
And then if you can actually empower the people around you to just know it as well, it's even better, because it flows. There's no resistance. There's no friction. Business just happens. Yeah. And it's within our culture. Yeah. But it's just magical. That's how I like to do business, is magical.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a nice way to. I'd like to think I am like that. I don't know. I'd love to get Kay off them headphones and get her involved and ask what she thought. But
Hey, what do you think?
I think.
Kay, I want you over here, Shun.
Do you think we've got that sort of culture? Just honestly, I think.
100%. Yeah, and the thing is, we learn from Ryan's mistakes, and he's always open and honest about stuff that's not gone right and shit that's gone wrong and stuff that works, and so we kind of get an upper hand because you go through it first.
Yeah, I think
it trickles down as well.
Yeah, I think we do that.
Yeah.
And me and Mum are very much like that. We try our hardest to think, right, what would this person be good at? Test them. Put them in there, kind of sink or swim, but at the same time, here's an armband if you need it, come behind closed doors.
It's very easy to overthink leadership or any other management styles. It's rather than just actually, well, hang on, if I work on myself, I'll find out my best talents and fine.
Yeah, I think it's a big one looking at it. So I feel like so many people, if they come from that corporate as well, they don't have the ability to be that self-awareness. Unfortunately, I'm not saying they're like robots. Unfortunately, the environment breeds them like that.
That's
and I
right.
think, and some people flourish in that though, which I've found which is a bizarre one for me. Is I've had people come work for me and they've not worked at Tezlom because they've been so used to that, and they actually flourish better in that environment. They think, and because they want to be like that. And
because they can't let go of it, because that's how they've been programmed. Yeah. And we still have an awful lot of people in the franchise industry who are exactly like that. It's suffocating for them and those areas of the industry, which is slightly sad, because there's so much creativity to be had.
Oh, it's amazing, some of the people who meet in franchising. I'm so grateful for this podcast. It's so nice to get to know you a bit better. It's nice to that's why I started the podcast, because you meet so many people. I joined the BFA. So when we started franchising, we weren't in the British BFA, and my dad was always kind of like, well, we don't need to be, it's a waste of money, blah, blah, blah.
I agree with him.
And
sorry, Pip.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I want to join because I want to know what good looks like, and that's why I joined.
Yeah, but good doesn't always exist within the BFA. It can exist without. Now, Pip has worked with her team so hard to bring in like Tezlom, Domestic Angels, and other franchises that have stayed on the outside because we couldn't see good on the inside. And the work that she's done is incredible to persuade us, actually, if you come in, we can see more of what good looks like. So instead of what was perceived as being normal, because we do all break the mold, we do all things differently. And it's
about being ethical, isn't it? You can be different and ethical at the same time. You can do your own thing, but do it in a way that's seen fair and ethical, and that's why I'm in the BFA, because I want someone to audit me. I want someone to look at everything and go, all right, it's not exactly what everyone else does, but I like it, and it's fine and it's fair, and that's why I'm in it. But the bit that was for me, I'll be honest with you, is when I joined as the fountain of knowledge and the amount of people who were just happy to have a conversation, and I've made some really nice friendships about having franchisees, the journey you go on, coaching people, helping other leaders grow teams, teaching people about how to, all them things that I've just found that I've been able to open to this world of knowledge of. See, what I kind of always think about, like I'm going to ask you in a minute, what's next? And what's next for me is I would love Tezlom head office to be led by some of the team here, and I've got a couple of people who are sprouting up, and I think that'll be the case, because I think Mum will exit at some point. And then Tezlom franchising, I would like to become not like a chairman or so much, but that would be the role seen on paper. But kind of want to go off and do public speaking and get paid for it and be a bit of a coach and the reality of real life and what it's like to run a business and help people guide through that, do public speaking around it. And the team in Tezlom franchising, give them shares and let them grow the business even further and see how much more they can take it. That's my end game, but without getting too super.
Is that your end game or your next game?
My next game.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what the end game is. I've no idea.
Good.
More tattoos.
You shouldn't know.
Yeah. I don't know. What about you?
Okay, so I'm already underway with mine. Just over a year ago, I met with. I encountered Savitas for the first time, which is an organisation based out of Westminster, which is all about influence in policy making and advising, that kind of thing. And they brought me on board to start connecting with them, and they put me through a boardable programme. So there's a lack of ladies at board level, non-exec director board level in government organisations and entities, just in general really, but in there. And I did the boardable programme, and I suppose you could say I graduated. That was by June. And I had a mentor appointed to me, who is the amazing Jill Pay. Hello, Jill. Jill is the chair of the Gender Index and was the first Sergeant at Arms in the House of Commons, so she carried a gun. And she's one hell of a lady. And she helped me to find my first position, because I hadn't done anything like this before.
You're blowing my mind a little bit, I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough about any of this.
It's incredible. You get chucked into these scenarios in this training with papers about stuff you've never heard of before. Pensions, for example. Well, I know a bit about pensions, but in the context of political context, about things that aren't going right or going right, and then you're analysing it within a boardroom, and you've got to do it at speed. And you've got to knock out the results, the output that they're looking for, which might be recommendations to the civil servants and recommendations to the MP and what they need to say to press. It could be something like that, yeah? So you go through all of this, pull it out, and it went well, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So I am definitely taking this forward. I want to be an NED within government at some point, somehow. And Jill pointed out to me that because I haven't done this before, I need an interim step. And a position came up in local government on the Audit and Governance Committee. And I bagged that back in October. So I am now a member of the Audit and Governance Committee at BCP Council, which is one of the largest councils in the country these days. And I get sent like 196 pages once a month, which I have to read, consume, come up with questions, and then attend the committee and make out that I know what I'm talking about. And there's a whole load of stuff in there that I think, maybe out of Mongolian, but half of it is probably in a language I do understand. So I do really well with stuff I do understand, and I'm letting the other stuff start to... It's coming in. Give me a few more months and I'll have this nailed. So I do that. So in a couple of years' time, I will move on from there and hopefully take a role in Westminster as a non-exec director. Yes. I absolutely intend, and I have no idea how Jill and I are going to pull this off. And yes, Jill, you're helping me. I would like to do something, take a role on a board that's directly connected to business and policy making. I think that sits within the Treasury, that kind of area. I really want to go and shake them up because policy making decisions are not reflective of what happens in the real world.
Yeah.
So I've got that to bring to the party. So that is part of my pathway forward. Another thing that's come out of that is I'm the representative for our area, female representative for Westminster in our area for Savatas. And this whole Savatas thing that I've mentioned a few times, it has an extension plan to take out to the region, so it's not just Westminster based. And somehow, and this is all about being open to opportunity, isn't it? Bournemouth is, and Christchurch and Poole, my area, is going to be the pilot. And so we are taking the first meeting to Bournemouth outside of Westminster. We're running it at the end of April is the schedule. And there will be 100 female business leaders there, some of them from Westminster, some of the representatives, and some key political people as well. And the female business leaders in attendance need to be employers and be in business for a certain amount of time. There's going to be more to it in terms of definition, and we haven't done invites yet, but I've got an idea of a few of the ladies I'd like to be there. There'll be 10 round tables, and there'll be a facilitator on each table, and they'll all be given a question, probably fiscal questions, to different one to each table, to debate, decide on, and then feedback on at the end of the meeting. And the feedback will go into a white paper, and the white paper will go through the houses. And that is what I'm doing, Ryan.
Fucking hell, that is mega, that, isn't it?
And once we've nailed how to do that, we're going to roll it out across the regions, across the country. So, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Fucking, that is top, that, isn't it? Wow. What?
Yeah. I talked about franchising as a solution to an enterprise solution for women, especially mums, to get the freedom that they need and the income they need, because you need income for 2 households in a committee room at the House of Lords in November. I can do that. So you see, my degree is coming through because I know about policy in the end. But I want to make a difference. I want to leave a legacy, and not just the legacy of my business. I want a legacy that says, I was a difficult woman and I changed things.
Yeah, you've got the ability to do
Let's
that.
keep moving things forward. You know, we've changed lots of stuff in the last 100 years, but not nearly enough. We've got a long way to go. So I'm prepared to go and do that. And Domestic Angels actually has given me the platform because people know that I've done it to fight for women to be the mums that they want to be and when they want to be, and on their terms, and be employed. An awful lot of our industry don't employ the staff because it's expensive, tough. We're doing it. Why shouldn't they have the same dignity as the rest of us? And I've been pretty vocal about these things over the years, which is why they found me.
Yeah. What's just give me just feed me what are the core things that you're wanting to change? Just give. I know it sounds a bit of a dumb question now, just so I can.
No, it's not. But I'm going to try and find a simple analogy.
Yeah, dumb it down for me a little bit.
A simple analogy. So often when policy is made or decisions are made, it's done through the lens of what is termed as norm. And norm is white male.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I don't overall have a problem with, but it doesn't actually spread and encompass everybody. Well, what's a really, really good, simple example? Right, I can't think of one. I'm going to give you a slightly complicated example.
Yes, fine.
When transport decisions are made, you get these roads where they dig up half of it and turn it into a cycle road. Yeah, okay.
We did it outside. It was a terrible decision.
It's quite often done on roads that take people to work.
Yeah.
Yeah? And quite often it's men who are going to work. They leave home and they get on the big roads and off they go. But mums leave home, they go to the school, they go to the shop, they go to grandma's, and then they go to work. So they're the ones who are going through all the little roads around the back. And then somebody goes and closes a gate to a park to stop it being possible to go through, cut through, or puts a plant pot in the middle of a road and says, oh no, this is a quiet area now. And everyone goes, really? Oh yeah, so we'll make it nice and quiet. But that means that mums take even longer to do those, what they're called trip links. And that adds, therefore, to the amount of unpaid labour they do in a day, because mums do significantly more unpaid labour than men do, because they're more likely to do the school runs and check on grandma or uncle and pick up the shopping and the this and that and the other because there's a birthday at the weekend. And so the amount of time that women spend doing unpaid labour actually increases. The amount of time they've got available to do paid labour decreases.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So actually, economically, it's not of use. It's actually increasing pressure on women. And
that's because there's more men making them decisions, fundamentally.
They're probably, but it's more likely that they look through this lens and they're not looking through that lens. So there's a gate being closed in Poole Park because I found that it's just being used as through traffic. And we've seen it come up, and it's something that's slightly contentious in the area anyway, because it's been tried in a different way before by putting some plant pots in or something like that. And it's going to close the gate. We're going to close the gate and trial it for a month and get feedback. Right, okay, so you haven't got feedback, you're just going to close it and see what happens. And I asked the other day, what data have you got? Oh yeah, we found out it's predominantly through traffic. I said, male or female drivers? Well, we don't know. Why don't you know? Well, we don't know. Well, go back and count them again. Because if 80% of those are female drivers using it as through traffic, they're using it for those trip links.
Yeah.
So make your decision differently. Think about how you're making the decision. So slightly complicated example, but we are programmed to look through that lens, not that lens. Now, you and I know, looking back in history, when you start looking through this lens, so, for example, the vote, then chaps benefit from it as well. Yeah? So that's what we want to do, is get looking more through this lens.
Yeah.
And then it actually is better for everybody.
Yeah.
It's like when we started talking about the temperature in here, and that temperature in offices is based on a 70-kilo white male in the 1980s, or 70s or 80s. I was like, who's 70 kilos these days, for a start? No. Right, okay. And there's an awful lot of females in those offices. So why aren't we changing
the temperature? Yeah, just because it's been there all the time. No one...
Yeah. And if we can get people having conversations where they're saying, why do we always do it like this, though? Yeah. Just challenge it. I would love to see that. Just challenge.
Do you think some of these things is because things have always just been that way, or do you think it's because men are making them decisions, or do you think it's amalgamation of both? Or?
It's just the evolutionary way of things, to be fair, Ryan. It really is. It's not because, I'm going to do it like this. No, it's the evolutionary way of things. And when you're the person who's making the decisions and you actually directly benefit, it's not so easy to look at it through another set of eyes, is it? Yeah. To be fair.
Because we're all taking the path of least resistance.
Yeah. So we need to have a voice, and we need to step forward and take those challenges forward. And of course, people are really interested to hear this. They actually do want challenge.
Yeah, of course.
And we're actually very much into a society now where we love the challenge. We like it because it means that individuals like you and I are actually getting heard.
Yeah. Well, it's change and growth and moving and...
Missed debates in the post office.
Yeah.
Getting heard.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
So... use your voices, step forward, challenge the status quo. It's healthy for us as a society.
100%.
As a society. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I'll be interested I'm gonna have to watch me on all your social media now. I'm gonna put the bell on your LinkedIn profile for everything that you post.
I don't say much about it, which is interesting, but then I'm the first person to completely forget to take a photograph for social media. Taking that one I did on the train yesterday, it's like, oh shit, I'm on a train. Need to piss Ryan off. I'm not in a car. Right, okay. But I just don't think to do it because I'm so busy. My head is going, oh yeah, like what else can we challenge? What can I come up with that would be a really good challenge the norm for Tezlom? You know, that's where I'm at. I'm not thinking, well, I better catch up with the social media and do that marketing stuff. No. I'm somewhere else completely.
Yeah. course.
So I have to apologise. Some of this is going to be new news to you because I just don't write about it or say about it. I just do it. I'm on it.
It was never been in your psyche beforehand, does it? You see, so
no.
Yeah, it's interesting.
No, but this is the amazing thing about domestic angels. The amazing thing about being in business is you can be so open to these incredible opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, like, wow, I didn't know this time last year I'd be sat here telling you this story.
Yeah, I know.
Can you imagine?
I know. That's why I love social media.
Wow.
I met Kay through social media, and now we work together. It's amazing.
This actually sounds quite dodgy.
Yeah.
Which way were you swiping?
It's her OnlyFans account.
Can you purchase?
She sells pictures at the weekend.
It's all lies.
Oh, you say that in such an embarrassing way. It's like it's happened before. It's not the only time, is it? It's not the only time. Anyway, I've got a gift for you today.
Okay.
She says, reaching down here. So, during the last year in particular, but I think it started a bit before, I became much more self-aware and much more at ease with myself.
Why?
I got old.
I think you do, though.
It will come to you, Ryan.
Yeah.
It'll come to you. Well, kiddo's off doing his own thing, and you know, you need to flow into this next level. And that's one of the reasons I was just open to what I've just told you about, is because I knew, right, okay, mum job, yes, still mummy the mentor,
But
yes, we
not
still
all
are.
the time.
But what am I? Who am I going forward? Where's my purpose?
Yeah.
I am not one to stop.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be one of those people. And I also can remember so many mums from when I was a kid who stopped and they were on Mummy's Little Helpers because they didn't know who they were anymore. So I was open and starting to already think about it. And then these wonderful things came along and new people into my life that have inspired me, underpinned that, helped me to evolve and grow even more. And it's just the most incredible thing. Most incredible thing. And my big theme right now is reflection and intention. Reflect, intent. So reflect, the easiest thing to do at the end of last year and the beginning of this is reflect on all the things you did last year. Yeah. And then what is it that you intentionally want to do this year? And that doesn't mean intend to do the washing up. Yeah. It means intend to do in spirit. How do you want to feel? How do you feel at the end of...
Are you quite spiritual, do you think?
I'm woo-woo.
Yeah, we're a bit...
I'll go woo-woo.
Me and Kay a bit woo-woo. Yeah, we're a bit woo-woo.
Team woo-woo.
Yeah.
We believe, that's why I keep saying, well, open, just let these things happen. But I'm intentional in being open to opportunity as well. So it is very deliberate to...
Kind of seeking it out.
Yeah. Reflecting and being intentional. And we ran a workshop for all our franchisees and the supervisors last week that was deliberately on reflection and intention. And it's the most incredible experience. So I brought you a reflection and intention gift today, which I'd like you to use this year. We'll be back in 12 months to see how he's got on with his homework. Is that all right?
Yeah. Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm going to use this,
And we put you a little love note in the front.
You did, thank you very much. It's interesting because I feel like I do reflection on myself, and I have a coach. You'll know her, Emily.
Who is it?
Emily.
Oh yes.
So I work with them, and she helps me do that as well. And then I've always done it with my mum. Mum's been like my biggest mentor my whole life, and obviously I work with her every single day. And I'll often go in and I'll shut the door and go, "Oh, Mum, I think I've fucked up. I think I've said this and done this. What do you think I should do next? How can I resolve it?" And then I'll go back a couple of weeks, and then I'll go back to her and say, "Do you remember that situation? I think I've done this, and this is what I want to do." So kind of sits a little bit in there with that.
A little bit in there. Now you can be more purposeful with it.
Yeah.
And get some more things down. They might not have numbers in. You don't have to set that kind of goal. It could be, I want to feel this way at the end of next week. I want to feel this way each day.
Kay knows what I'm going to talk about now, don't you?
Oh.
It's about social media.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's about the people that you follow and who follow you.
Yeah.
And it's about being comfortable yourself on social media as well
Right.
sometimes. And I'm going to set some intentions. I've been talking about it a little bit, but I think this is definitely some sort of woo-woo energy that's telling me to do these things.
Good. Then it's perfectly timed.
Yeah, it is.
As things always are if you're open.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I don't know if I think I've covered everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've covered everything. I think I've got to know you.
Yeah. You sure?
Yeah, I think everything. I don't know if there's a bit more travelling involved, but...
Love travelling.
Yeah.
Love sailing. Love the challenge of sailing.
I feel like we've covered everything. The only I think I am absolutely gobsmacked about the government thing, and I wish I was intelligent enough to know a bit more about it. But if there's one person I think is going to drive it, it's going to be you. Just by being around you for a little while, I think we've been about an hour or something like that. And I feel like you're definitely going to be able to drive that. I just wish I knew a bit more about it to ask you a few more questions, but I just don't know enough about it.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, do you?
Yeah, I'm not trying to dig into something that I don't know about, but I feel like if it's anything from what you've just talked about, I think you're definitely the person who's going to do it, and I think you'll smash it out of the park as well, and I'm really excited to see what happens there.
Thank you.
I'm going to wrap it up, the podcast. I really appreciate you coming on, but I do want to book you back on. I want to get you back on because I want to find out a bit more about
what happens next.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chapters ahead for me.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah,
I'm only just started.
I'm just going to say, so Louise Harris was talking, and I feel like she's...
Hi, Louise.
Yeah. So, hi,
she's
Louise.
my hair with personality buddy.
Yeah. I feel like, so my mum was the same. I only think my mum got going when she was 56.
You do?
And she's 71 now. And again, I think we're just about, me and mum have been talking about something else. I think we're going to do another 10-year stint. We've got something else in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you are just I feel like everything you've done just got you warmed up for now.
Yeah. I'm just getting started.
Yeah, I feel like you're just getting warm.
Because life moves on. Your mum will be able to reflect on the age I am now and identify with completely. It's just like, I know myself now. And I'm me, and I've got power. You do give a fuck a whole lot less. And nobody says to you, oh, well, you're young yet, as they do all the way through your 20s. Like, when am I going to qualify? And then you get into your 30s, you got kids, and go, oh, well, you've got small kids, you must be tired. Okay. Go on and on and on. So, it's amazing how society holds you back until you qualify. But then you say, stuff it. I'm here and I'm doing this and I'm me and I'm having a great time. And you find the right people and they allow you to be you. And you go, oh, so all those school reports were a bit shit. I am good enough. That's the cool bit. And it's great fun. And there's so much that we can do, so much difference we can all make by being in business. It's not just about the pounds and pence in your pocket. That will come and it will follow as well. But use your voice, make a difference. We've got responsibility as business owners. Yeah, we have. You have, right. Thank you. I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I've absolutely loved this podcast. I had no idea where it was going to go, but I'm really glad it's ended where it's ended. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Cheers.